It's been a really long wait, but we finally got our new exhaust for the biplane, and it's arrived from Wettermans, and I'm very excited to open it up and take a look what we've got. Really hoping this is going to be some nice performance, a little bit of weight reduction, and just a much tidier installation than the very crude exhaust that was on the airplane beforehand. So quite excited to open the box, although I must say the box is a lot smaller than I was expecting it to be. Hopefully it's not just a bunch of tubes in here with some welding rods and some instruction. Let's have a look in here. It's obviously very well-known shop. Wettermans make a lot of stuff for the RV series aircraft. I did quite a bit of research into exhausts and questioned a number of people. Read a few articles. There's some really wonderful information on the Wetterman website, and they've dyno tested a number of their different exhaust styles. So this one, if I'm remembering correctly from our discussions, is an RV8 system that's been modified for me. Obviously we went ahead and took lots of pictures and dimensions and things like that of the aircraft, sent that off to them. They got it in their schedule to build, and then they made it for me. Ooh. A smaller pipe than I was expecting. I thought we were getting a 2-inch exhaust. Seems to be 1.5 inches if I was to measure that. Oh, wow, look at that, that's 2-inch. Okay, so yes, all right, that makes sense. So we got 1.5 inch risers, yes, obviously, sorry, and then that'll be going into 2-inch, so 1.5 inch into 2-inch. Yeah. Look at that. This pipe is incredibly cold. It's been in the back of the truck for quite a while. All right. Okay. Some assembly required. Hanger kit. My plan was originally to upgrade the exhaust because the other side was a very poor design, very heavy tube, mild steel, so lots of weight penalty. No power increase, just very crude exhaust. So I wanted to get a bit of horsepower out of the airplane, as well as lightening it up and coming up with a better hanger system. And then I've obviously been doing a lot of my modifications. This is obviously a temporary, just fly it and see, but it's a 25% reduction in the inflow. And then I've got my internal baffles to restrict the airflow. So I'm reducing cooling drag, I'm using the cooling air and putting it where it needs to go. And I'm hoping I can close up my fixed cowl flap. So really get a bit of speed by getting rid of cooling drag, get a little extra power by getting a better exhaust system, and getting rid of a bit of weight by using a much lighter system as well. I cannot believe how light this piping is. I think this is 32 thou stainless, and the old exhaust pipes were made of, I think 95 mild steel, and not mandrel bent, so where they had put bends in them, huge restriction in your diameter, and no crossover, long, exiting out the back there, and then 2 big automotive clamps, you know, crude steel clamps to bolt them into the airframe. So very heavy system, and not a lot of any sort of performance enhancing characteristics. We'll just leave that a little loose. That is tidy. So we are hoping for 150 RPM static increase on this system. So obviously with the fixed pitch propeller, I should be able to see that fairly well. I'm not going to do any other engine modifications. I got new spark plugs for the thing. I'm not even going to change them. So I know what my static was before.
and then I'll be able to see what we're getting for a static. Once this is on, we should be able to tell pretty quickly whether we're getting the desired power increase. This has all been in the back of the vehicle, and it's minus 15 outside or something, so it's all very cold. Well, so far nothing's gonna hit anything. With the cooling modifications that I'm doing, I am getting ready to put a graphic insight engine monitor in, which is not really something I wanted in a aerobatic biplane, but I just thought probably necessary to have accurate temperature monitoring if we want any chance of knowing whether, you know, we've made changes that are too aggressive or not aggressive enough. The way this engine was overheating before, because basically it had almost double the amount of cooling air being jammed through it that it needed, which is quite astonishing. But a lot of it, you know, there was very poor baffle seals. A lot of it was slipping around the crankshaft. There was no baffle seals up front, none across the front of the cowl, so a lot of the air that was being taken through the engine was being wasted. The intake wasn't sealed up, and so obviously that's pressurizing the wrong side. God, that looks cool. So exhaust is on loosely in position. Lower cowl is attached correctly around the front, and we've got some serious fitment issues. So the number 2 pipe here is out a lot further than the last exhaust and protruding down, and it's there's even a cutout there already for extra cooling from the oil cooler and to provide space for the number 2 intake, and it's even into that cutout and still coming up tight. You can see we got about 2-inch gap here. We're also hitting the ball joints, slip joints, whatever you want to call them, there at the bottom, so that's in hard contact with the cowling, and we've got about 2 inches. We got to get that rear cowl up. And then on this side, the number 3 cylinder, same deal. It's coming down further than the old exhaust before turning, so it's hitting that cowling, and that's giving us about a 2-inch error there. Obviously I don't need to shorten the pipes by 2 inches because it's angled, but that could be problematic. Now this one looks like we could take, you know, half an inch to an inch of pipe out of there and lift it up and probably solve the problem. Obviously whatever we do here, these are solid joints, right? So whatever we cut out on this side, we got to get out on the other side. Which would be this one, so it's not in the way. That again doesn't look problematic. Of course, it's a tuned exhaust, so I don't know whether we can actually reduce any of that. Here, that's going to be less easy. It could be raised up a bit, but not much, like less than half of an inch. That corner could be turned tighter, but that's going to be problematic. That might be the best fix, but then again, if we raise that side for the number 2, that means our number 1's got to come up, which it can do. It can, yeah, so that could be shortened in here by half an inch as well. But basically that would mean sending the entire exhaust back, because it means every single pipe needs adjusting. That's a bit disappointing, but that is pretty much situation normal for me. So looks beautiful, really happy with the build quality, really happy with all the parts that have came. It just doesn't fit the cowling at all, so we'll see. It's flexible, obviously, I hope, and it's just more work. So all right, that's all for the exhaust for today.